Perkins Canyon was named for Solomon David and Susan Perkins, who farmed and raised 4 children here from 1859 to 1869. The canyon was acquired by the park in 1976, the same year Save Mount Diablo made its very first land purchase, a triangle of land to the southwest of the junction of Marsh Creek and Morgan Territory roads. Both acquisitions were ambitious because at the time the state park boundary was 4 miles away, on the other side of North Peak. From the parking spot, North Peak is straight above you to the west. To the south, just to the left of the communications towers, is the wooded mound of the volcanic dome. In the foreground is a rolling grassland with large oaks, where you might hear acorn woodpeckers and scrub jays. In a typical spring,
the trails are thick with bunch grasses, and there are lots of the little golden violets. A little later in the season, it's the best place I've ever seen for harvest brodea, which is just a really little elegant single-flowered brodea compared to its much more blue-collar cousins, the ucows and blue dicks and ethereal spear. It's just elegance personified.
We're at about 700 feet in elevation here, while North Peak is a little over 3,500 feet.
This is the steepest side of North Peak. You look up at the slopes and it's like looking at those Chinese paintings of the steep hills rising out of the Yangtze River. It's almost Asian in the aesthetic.
William Brewer of the California Geological Survey climbed North Peak on a blustery day in May of 1862. He had climbed Mount Shasta and peaks that were thought to be unclimbable in the Sierra Nevada. Even so, Brewer thought North Peak was challenging. He called it, quote, a crest of naked rocks over and among which one has to pick his way, not always without danger. Here's naturalist Ken Lavin.
He said when he got to the top, it had miraculously cleared, and the view was even better from the peak there than from the main peak. He wanted to name it Mount King after the Reverend Starr King, the Unitarian minister who had accompanied them up to Mount Diablo a few times. Of course, that name didn't stick. It's known as North Peak, and the Reverend Starr King got another peak named after him in the Sierra Nevada.
Today, there are communications towers on top, even though it's park property.
North Peak is actually at the base of a transmitter. You have to climb up little corrugated steel steps to get there. Those transmitters are nearly at the top that we can see from the road, not quite. The one on the far left is actually a television station in Concord.
You've probably noticed a pile of rubble just to the right or north of Perkins Canyon Meadow. It's what's left of an old mercury mining operation. Here's Diablo Valley College geologist Gene Hetherington.
Most of what we're seeing here is rock that is stained orange-red, which is iron oxide. The rubble and the debris that forms this slope is part of the waste rock that didn't have enough mercury in it to be of interest, and so they push it out of the way and try to get to the rock that has the mercury in it.
2 minerals were mined here, cinnabar, which is bright red, and metacinnabar, which is slate gray. Each is a combination of mercury and sulfur.
One of the problems with minerals that contain sulfur is that one of the common byproducts as they are interacting with the atmosphere is sulfuric acid. And so, oftentimes, the water that comes out of a mine commonly has sulfuric acid in it. It is interesting that there's a nice little drainage right down the side. Unfortunately, probably there's leaching of the sulfide minerals and mercury into that drainage, getting carried on downstream.
We'll have more about mercury mining in segments 8 and 9. But now it's time to get started on our hike. Walk down into the meadow and turn left or south on the meadow trail. In half a mile or so, the meadow trail dead ends at an east-west junction. Stop there for segment 3.